Hey everyone, Mark the Movie Man here. It is that time, and today we're going to take a look at a film of epic proportions brought to us by director Ridley Scott, and it's called Exodus, Gods and Kings. And we get the story of Moses, basically. For those of you who may not be familiar with it, basically Moses is a brother of Ramses. These two have grown up in the Egyptian palace together, but Moses always felt that he was something quite different about him versus his brother. Well, soon Moses learns about his true heritage, and he realizes he's part of the system that has been enslaving his people for many, many centuries. So he decides to take up the mantle and free his people and try to plead with Ramses to let his people go. But Ramses isn't going to do that so easily, so Moses ends up getting the help from a higher power in the form of plagues and other rather mean things that happen to the Egyptians. And Ramses, well, does he let them go? You know, if you know the story or have seen the Ten Commandments, you know what happens. He does, but reluctantly, and he still can't handle it. And soon he goes after Moses, and it comes to a clash in the Red Sea. Yes, in the Red Sea. You know, we've seen this story many, many times before, and I will say one of the things Ridley Scott does do well is bringing the epic scope of a film like this. Okay, and he's got the help here of Dariusz Wolski, and I may have mispronounced that, I do apologize, but he is the director of photography of cinematography that did Pirates of the Caribbean series, and that looked fantastic. And bringing that expertise here, you can tell that style is here. We get some sweeping camera movements over the large cities, and it just really giving you the scope and scale of the area where the events are taking place, and I loved that. Really looked great on the big screen, and props off there visually for making it some stunning scenes in this movie. Now, what you also have in here is decent performances, okay? I will say not phenomenal performances, but decent from both Christian Bale and Joe Edgerton. I really felt like they were brothers. There was some good chemistry between them, though I'm not quite sure if Christian Bale was trying to do an accent or not. It was kind of hard to tell in some scenes. Maybe it was the way the audio was mixed. I'm not quite sure, but it sounded like he was trying to do an accent in some scenes and not in others, so it did slip a bit here and there, and he does all right, though I don't know if it was the way they wrote his character for this film or if it was the direction of his character. It just wasn't his strongest performance, but it was still decent. And Edgerton, I really liked him. I loved his Ramses quite a bit. At one minute you really dislike him, and the next minute you're feeling for him, which they kind of wrote for the Ramses character, which is a little bit interesting because a lot of times we see the Ramses character as just an outright, a bad guy, but here they write in a little more sympathy for him, and that is a trend that we've seen in Hollywood recently, where they're trying to give you a little bit of sympathy towards the villain, and you get that here in Exodus. Now, you also have John Turturro here as Seti, and let me tell you, I think this is the first performance I've seen John in a long time that did not annoy me. Okay, I really enjoyed his Seti character. Definitely a different character than what I've seen from him in the past, and he does it well. He doesn't bring too much of the Turturro through on his character, which is good because you don't want that for the character of Seti. So he did well in this performance. And then you got cameos by Sigourney Weaver and Ben Kingsley playing roles that, well, pretty much anybody could really play. They didn't have a very strong presence on screen. I mean, when they're there, you're like, oh crap, that's Sigourney Weaver, or oh, that's Ben Kingsley. But as far as what they brought to that, I think other actors could have brought it just as well. But they are in there, I think, maybe for name power, but also because Ridley Scott really likes them. I mean, he's worked with Sigourney Weaver before on Alien, and that's the thing with the director Ridley Scott. I've never been a big fan of his pacing in his films, though it did work in Alien. Don't get me wrong, loved Alien, thought it worked really well there, but it's kind of hit or miss. When it comes to his films with me. And so this one, I'm not going to say it's complete miss, though it does drag in a few spots. There is some interesting action scenes going on, some battles, and the way they do their strategizing in the battles, and I liked that part of it as well. And then there are great moments, and then there are not so great moments. And so, just like with the CGI in the Plagues, which we had, some of it looked really good, and then some of it looked bad. And the most part, though, for Exodus, I got the feeling like they were trying not to be too religious, but telling a religious story. It's just kind of the vibe that I got from this film. Like they were trying to play a middle of the road, especially when the plagues were happening. They had a person in there trying to describe how nature, could have been causing it's just a natural occurrence and maybe not a higher power. And, I thought that was interesting that they put that in there, but it really felt like they were trying to play middle of the road with this film. And in the end, I only could give this a middle of the road rating. I give it 2.5 stubs. Not 3, just because it wasn't phenomenal, but nothing less because, it's just not quite there. I'd go see it on a matinee, okay? Go see it on a matinee on the big screen. You should see the visuals there, really good. But overall, the film, I think, lost a step, and it may have been the direction of it. I would sooner recommend Prince of Egypt or 10 Commandments if you're looking for a better telling of this story. Now, I may be wrong. Please tell me if I'm full of crap or whatnot. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of this film. Would love to hear your thoughts. And thank you so much for watching. We're up to 660 subscribers, which may mean not much for some people, but it's huge for me. Thank you for your support. I appreciate every single one of you viewing, and remember, until next time, keep that ticket stub.